Stop making excuses for yourself. Who cares what your gender is? What matters is like, be a female if you have the balls. Okay, you don't physically have balls, but like, who fucking cares? Yeah, I mean, the startup founder game is a fucking shit show. I'll wake up depressed one morning and a fucking high. You just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You just have to suck it the fuck up and put yourself out there, and it's vulnerable and it's scary at times, but you have to do it. It's such a double-edged sword because we're super fortunate to have these amazing big partners like Ninja and Aoki, so we look a lot bigger than we are, but we're really just like still a brand new small startup, and I'm still completely new to this, trying to figure it out. To me, being a nutcase is all about don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks about you, just like lean in, be different, be weird, be you. Be a nutcase.
What's up, everyone? This is the Nutcase podcast.
I'm a nutcase, I'm a rogue, I'm a misfit, I'm the glitch in the code. Maybe I'm gonna explode.
I'm Charlotte. I'm going to be your host as we interview Jo, the founder of Nutcase, which is the first ever hydration milk. One of the best things about being friends with Jo is I get to hear firsthand some of the most crazy, insane stories, from how she met and married one of the co-founders of Shopify to bringing on legendary gamer Ninja as her co-founder. Our hangouts were never short of me saying, holy shit, and what the fuck, how did that happen? I somehow convinced her to share it with all of you guys. We're gonna go deep and personal, all while sharing building out Nutcase from day one. Hey guys, so welcome back. This week we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna just basically ramsack Jo with a ton of questions. They are gonna consist of both questions around Nutcase, personal, as well as family stuff. So let's jump into it.
Fire away.
Okay, Jo, so what does Nutcase stand for?
So to me, being a nutcase is all about kind of like, don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks about you. Just like lean in, be different, be weird, be you, be a nutcase.
Why is Nutcase milk so dope?
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. One, it's made with rich, creamy cashews, which are delicious. It's packed with potassium and electrolytes. We use only real clean ingredients. So you got all this better for you stuff, and it actually still tastes fucking awesome.
Why cashews over any other nut?
Well, first of all, they're the best nut. We all know this. Everybody knows this, right?
We know this.
They're rich and creamy, and then they're packed with essential nutrients, and so that's good for your brain. It's good for your mood, and just overall health. Like so much, it's like a nutritional powerhouse.
Okay. So tell us why you chose agave over other sweeteners.
So first of all, I like the flavor the best, but also it has a lower glycemic index than any other sweetener, and it's still a natural sweetener.
Okay. So just on that, and I also love that Nutcase has 0 seed oils,
Yes.
like all unlike all the other alt milks.
Exactly. So again, this comes back to why cashews are awesome. So cashews are naturally so like rich and fatty. And we actually use a lot of cashews, so you get all of that great texture, that creaminess, that mouthfeel directly from the cashews. Now, a lot of other alt milks, either one of two things. They're not actually using that many nuts, and they're harder nuts, so like say almonds. So not to throw shade, but like take like a Silk, for instance. Just like, let's be real. There's no way a proper nut milk can be 25 calories. Like we know how many calories are in nuts, right? So essentially the way they hack that is that like 1 cup might only have like 2 almonds in it. And then they just kind of fake the texture by adding all of these oils and shit to make it like give it that thick creaminess. And or if you take oats, as we all know, like oats are super dry, like they're not fatty. So once again, you have to add oils to make up for it. So that's where we're different. It's like we actually, and this also actually falls into like people like, why is it more expensive? It's like, because we actually use nuts. And that's how you get, you know, a cleaner, better beverage, and it tastes way better. So
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so tell us why you wanted to create a product that was lactose-free, vegan, if you will.
So I came across this insane stat. Like growing up or just recently, I've had like a few friends say that they're lactose intolerant or dairy free. And I was like, okay. But when I actually like really dug into it and the stats, like apparently about 44% of Americans are lactose intolerant. And then if you go into some of the ethnic communities, I think Latinas, it's like 60%. When you go into like African, Asian, it's like 80% of people are lactose intolerant. And that just kept coming up as well when I told people. I remember specifically David Cho, when I was like, hey, I've got this chocolate milk. Do you want to try it? And he's like, I'd love to, but I'd be on the shitter for weeks.
Yes.
And I was like, dude, I got you. It's dairy free. He's like, hook it up. So yeah, that's just, it's such a big portion of the population that I'm like, you know, we all want to be able to indulge and not have to run to the bathroom.
And tell us why it's good post cardio or any type of sport, really.
So the big thing with us that differentiates us as a milk and just like as a hydration drink is we are insanely high in potassium. And that's super key for preventing cramps post cardio. So especially anything that's like endurance where you're sweating a lot and you have to replenish that, we absolutely crush it there.
Okay, so then I guess that ties into my next question, which is tell us why it'll help with a female during, let's say, her time of the month when we naturally get cramps.
Yeah, so exactly. So between the potassium and the magnesium, we like Nutcase is amazing for preventing cramps, whether that's muscle cramps or menstrual cramps. So we got you.
And why is Nutcase good for the brain?
So as a lot of people know, like if you look at the top 10 foods for brains, nuts are really high up there. So they have all these essential nutrients and antioxidants that help, one, promotes brain health, but also really helps protect against all the degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia.
Why is it good for kids?
So this is like, I have a 3-year-old now, so this is kind of like a bit of a mom hack I've figured out is that you can trick your kids into drinking something healthier. So we were giving our son, like he was having so much juices and I was like, it's fruit, you know, whatever. And then I started looking at the box and it's like the amount of sugar in that is just insane. And then of course, as I mentioned with the other milks, they're just filled with garbage. So I think and some kids will be like, oh, you know, I wouldn't drink nut milk. But they see the cool can and whatnot, and like kids want what they can't have. So that's also kind of the genius of the branding is like we tried to make it like cool, so they want it. Like they end up, as you know, I know your boys are always
obsessed,
like stealing it from us. So it's kind of like a lot of parents that were like, hey, once you have kids, like you buy chocolate milk for them, but then you end up stealing it. Now I'm like, basically we've turned the tables.
Yeah.
So now
it is, at least in
like,
my house for sure.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, just on the note on it being good for kids that I have found is that as adults, when we're dehydrated, it shows up as like being tired, lethargic, brain fog, the works.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that it displays so differently in a child. Again, I'm not a medical professional, but with my experience with my own kids, when they are dehydrated, they're just like, it's really hard to get through to them. And obviously with Nutcase, with all the hydration and the minerals in it, it's just like such a hack. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And they're getting all the nuts too. So it's like,
oh my gosh, you're checking off 10 boxes.
Yeah.
Easy. Why is Nutcase more expensive?
So it's actually more expensive because one, we use real ingredients and we actually use a lot of nuts. So cashews are not cheap, as we know, but also whereas a lot of other alt milk brands, whether it's like almond or soy or oat milk, they actually don't use that much of the nuts or the oats. And then they just kind of sub it or like mask it by using all these oils and thickeners. So in our case, there's almost over 10 cashews per can, and that's not cheap. And then we use agave and just high quality ingredients. And that's something that we don't want to compromise on.
Fair. Is Nutcase shelf stable?
It is. So that makes it super easy. You can stock up your pantry, and then obviously it's best to drink cold. So I would recommend refrigerating it before drinking it. But it just makes it so versatile and portable, and you can bring it with you and share with friends, stock up.
Okay, so let's jump into more personal questions.
Right.
First off, how did you find out you had ADHD and how old were you?
Oh, this is a good one. This is a funny story. So I was at dinner at Toby and Fiona's house. So Toby, who's the founder of Shopify, and I was talking to his wife, Fiona, and she was mentioning some things, some quirks of Toby's and some facts. Like I think she said something like one of his biggest fears is boredom. And I was like, yep. And like a few other things. And I was just kind of looking at her and I was like, this just like is uncanny. Like this sounds exactly like me. And she's like, oh yeah, you probably have ADHD. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I'm 33 at this point. I was like, I'm an adult. I would know by now. But I just kind of remember leaving and being like, huh. So I went online after and took this ADHD test. And I swear to God, like I've never answered a quiz that I've been like, oh my God, I feel so seen. I was like, I feel so understood. And then it was just so crazy to just be like, oh shit, this explains like a lot.
And what type of questions was the test asking you?
So it was like really basic, but kind of obscure questions like, can you stand in line behind someone? I'm like, nope. Like, can you drive behind? Nope, must pass everybody. I wish I remembered some of this, but it was like super obvious stuff. And I was just like, you know, the quiz, obviously, again, the online quiz is not a medical diagnosis.
Yeah.
But it was like.
Tell us how Toby explained either his experience with ADHD or kind of like what you should look for in yourself or what it would present as rather.
Yeah, so I mean, the way he explained it, it just was so helpful for me just to understand why I am the way I am and just like how it works. So essentially the way he explained it was that like a normal person, the baseline for them to just be content and stimulated is like say it's here. He's like, well, someone with ADHD to just be like stimulated enough, like the bar is here. And that's why we, one, get bored really easily, and two, why we go to such extremes to just get stimulation, and why it's so much harder, which then in turns, because he was explaining this is why it's so common in founders, because the worst thing is being bored. We get bored very easily. So we naturally or instinctively go after these high risk, high intensity, high stress things like creating startups, because that's what we need to just like be content.
Yeah. That require you to be on at all times, really.
Yeah, I need that level of just like pressure, or else I just get depressed.
What are some of the other very random quirks that come along with ADHD for you personally?
Well, so this is not a one that's for me. Actually, this is another like diagnosis one that I was like, okay, yeah, that's me. Apparently, so if you have ADHD, when you drink an energy drink, it actually calms you down instead of hyping you up. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why. I realized for years I'd been quote unquote like self-medicating, because if I had to like sit down and focus for like an hour, I would sit down with an energy drink, and that would allow me to get it done. There's so many other things like working out. I can work longer outside because they said outside, like when there's that ambient noise, it just like, that takes up the threshold of stimulus that much higher. So like, okay, you're like more balanced.
Do you feel that things are different for you being a female founder?
So yeah, this is a really good question, because I personally can't stand when women kind of complain. They're like, oh, it's harder for me because I'm a female, and they just kind of make excuses for that. When the reality is, like, first of all, in the real world, there's always male versus female dynamics. But at the end of the day, it's what you make of it. So you can't use that as an excuse. You can't let it stop you. If anything, it drives me nuts when there's all like these events or these grants that have like special treatment for women, like we need assistance or a leg up. To me, it's kind of, it's honestly kind of demeaning. And even here's a controversial take. I got invited once to go like be on a panel that was like all about like lean in the book. And I kind of went up there and they were really prompting me to want to answer the questions like, how is it harder for you as a female? And I was just like, why is this the dialogue? Like, why is this the stance we want to take, this like victim mentality? At the end of the day, I was more like, you know what, fuck that. Like, there's pros and cons to anything in life. And if anything, if the name of the game is standing out, there's less females, so you stand out more. I've had nothing but incredible male mentors in my life that have taken me under their wing, maybe even a bit more because you're a young girl and they want to help. So it's kind of like, stop making excuses for yourself and just, who cares what your gender is? What matters is like, are you gonna be a female if you have the balls? Okay, you don't physically have balls, but like, who fucking cares?
Get the job done.
You got to have the guts to do what it takes. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl. You can get in that room.
Mm-hmm. Which leads me to my next question. How do you have the guts to approach people?
So, okay, here's one of my tricks. So first of all, first thing I'll say is like, you develop that or it never gets easy or comfortable. You just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That was a lot of comfortables. Basically you just have to suck it the fuck up and put yourself out there, and it's vulnerable and it's scary at times, but you have to do it. That's rule number one. And two, my one little tip maybe that I will say that has helped me, that I've developed over the years, is when I'm reaching out to someone, it's like, it's kind of crazy, like someone who's a big deal and I'm nobody, and sometimes if you just acknowledge how crazy what you're about to ask is, it's really humanizing. So I'll like literally start the email by like, okay, I know this is kind of insane, total shot in the dark, but like, I'm Jo. And the amount of times that works is actually crazy. So just like acknowledge that it's a crazy ask, but like, fuck it, you're shooting your shot.
And have you or do you ever deal with imposter syndrome?
All the fucking time.
Tell us about it.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things here that cause this. One, the situation we're in where I'm surrounded by people that are insanely successful and that I look up to. And then like by association, like that's just like that's the bar. And I'm nowhere near that. Like I have so much to prove. So that sometimes hits me, like I just feel so small compared to them. But then I'm competitive, so I'm like, oh, fuck it. I just got it. Like, so I also use that as fuel. But also, again, like take Nutcase, for instance. It's such a double-edged sword because we're super fortunate to have these amazing big partners like Ninja and Aoki. So we look a lot bigger than we are. But we're really just like still a brand new small startup. And I'm still completely new to this, trying to figure it out. So I get in conversations all the time where people are like, oh my God, you guys are killing it. You're massive. And I'm like, inside, I'm like, fuck, like we haven't done anything yet. So.
Do you deal with emotional roller coasters often?
This is the name of the game. You know me, roller coaster, mood swings, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, the startup founder game is a fucking shit show. And I'll wake up depressed one morning and on a fucking high. And actually that can happen 5 times a day. So that's something I'm trying to get better at. But at the same time, it's also what I signed up for.
And do you have tools at this point where you can easily access them to kind of switch it for you?
Yeah, I just go on a walk with you. And
walks with me.
Fucking rant my ass off. And you listen. And then I'm like, that and... Again, this is actually where having kids, this is the life hack of kids. They just really put into perspective what matters at the end of the day. So I could be losing my mind because, well, to tell you what happened what I found out today, our co-packer apparently put the wrong labels on a bunch of cans. And I'm just finding that out because someone went to Whole Foods and was like, why is the old can here? I'm like, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, well, good news is, she's like, I checked the expiry. I'm like, it's not an old can, it's just an old label. So the product is good,
legit, yeah.
but the label is wrong. And now we're trying to figure out how many cans are wrong. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? And as you know, like, this is like once a week there's something blows up in your face. And I'm just fucking fuming. But then my son gets home and he's like, Mommy, look at my dino. And you're just like, yo, okay, like, it's not so deep.
What are your thoughts on failure?
They are basically, I mean, if you're a founder, failures, mistakes, fuck-ups, like, that's your education. I basically have a fucking PhD at this point, so.
Tell me what you would list as the top 3 personal qualities to make a successful founder.
Oof. Grit. Like grit, resilience, like I would batch those together. Definitely have to be like a insanely self-starting. Like you gotta, and actually top one for sure is just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and just constantly, relentlessly pushing outside of your comfort zone.
Okay. And when did ego help you and when did it almost cost you everything?
Ego. Yeah, I would say you, as a founder, you kind of need this, like, ego is one word for it. Another word is like what they call the reality distortion field. So you kind of have to like be delusional enough to believe that your thing can change the world. And because that's what you need to like go get after it and to pitch and to sell. So that's when it helps. Like you gotta drink your own Kool-Aid. You gotta believe in it. And like to the extreme, because when things get hard, if you're not like fanatically obsessed with it, you'll throw in the towel too soon. When it hurts me is when you get overconfident with something and you believe this thing is just gonna like do all the work for you, so you sit back for a second and it just blows up in your fucking face.
Let's move into a little bit more routine type questions. Walk us through a day in a life of Jo.
Oh, cool. Okay. My morning routine. So, well, first, fuck the morning. I am not a morning person. So for those who know, I'm a night owl. I do not get up early for anything unless it's a really important. If you want to test me, try to schedule a call with me in the morning. I've also been kind of hacking it for the last little while because I'm currently on Eastern time and most of my business is in Pacific time. So I just pretend that I'm on Pacific time to buy myself 3 hours. But okay, morning routine. So as you know, first thing, non-negotiable. I built a gym in our house. Like our house must have a gym. That is my one requisite. So and it's like literally right across from our bedroom. So like I'm not even allowed to go downstairs. It's like get up, shoes on, gym for about an hour and a half, hit the showers, and then go straight down and like probably Uber eat some lunch. And then I have like the whole afternoon to focus. Then go for a walk with my family. That's another non-negotiable. Bring the dog out, bring Billy out, and have dinner with Jack. And then my husband and I will trade off in the evening. So like we'll take turns on like he'll watch my son for an hour, I'll watch for an hour, and like those hour increments are actually perfect for me to like. I'm like I have an hour. We're gonna knock stuff out, and then so I'll get like a bunch of 1 hour slots of work, and then I'll put my son down for bed, and then I'll work for another few hours.
And does it work well, you and Daniel doing those, those hour increments so that when you're with Jack, you're like very present with him?
Exactly. Like I don't do well for like after more than an hour. I just like, I love my son, but let's be real. Like I just get bored. So I can't focus for that long. And same with my husband. So like we found it actually really helps to kind of trade off that way.
Okay. Tell us your top 3 favorite foods.
Ooh. This keeps changing, but pizza's high up there. I eat a shit ton of salads. I eat a shit ton of sandwiches. I'm super basic, by the way. My one particular thing that any Italian place I go to, first thing I look for on the menu is a butternut squash agnolotti, ideally in a sage brown butter. That's very specific. Mm-hmm. If a restaurant has that, I'll be there. Anywhere in the city. I'm going to LA. I'm like, where the fuck has a
Googling
squash tortilla? Or it could be a squash ravioli or whatever stuffed variant you want. And of course, that's usually like a seasonal thing.
Yeah,
that was very specific.
What emotion do you avoid sitting with regularly?
Is boredom an emotion?
No,
that's the problem. Emotion. Guilt.
Okay. Tell us about your workout plan.
Oh yeah, this one's OCD. So I work out every day. That's a non-negotiable again. And I heard this explained once, and I thought this actually makes so much sense. And some people say like it's bad to work out every day. You should have rest days and whatnot. But I heard someone explain it one time is the reason, and this is why it works for me, is that like if I have one rest day, that becomes my favorite day of the week. And then it's like you're waking up every day. You're like, what day is it? Is it rest day? And it's not. And then you're like, oh damn. So it just makes every other day relatively harder. So I actually have made it so that you don't want to have to make that decision in the morning of like, am I working out today or not? It's just like, that's a preset, pre-made decision. You're working out. And then it's like, okay, which day is it? And I've made every day suck in a different way. So I kind of don't care which one it is. I just have to go do it. And actually by alternating them, after if I just did one really sucky thing, the next day I'm like, oh, thank God that's done. And then I go to the next sucky thing. So if you really want the breakdown, Monday is Peloton. So that'll be an intense hit one. So I'm like, that's fucking brutal. Like that's the brutal one. Tuesday is leg day. I fucking hate leg day. Everybody hates leg day. And then after every strength one, I do like a cool down on the elliptical for like 30, 40 minutes or whatever, which is the only time I'm allowed on Instagram. So that's my reward for being on the elliptical. Multitasking always. Wednesday, in the summer, it'll be a run. In the winter, it's Stairmaster. And I go hard either way, and I'm not a good runner anymore, so those are hard. So that sucks. Thursday is upper body strength day. Not too bad. And actually, on both my strength days, I do core as well. Friday is my second Peloton hit day. So that sucks again. Saturday, back to like my cardio day, so run or Stairmaster. And then Sunday Sunday's my chillest day. So Sunday's like 20 minutes of yoga just to pretend I stretch. And then like a light elliptical.
So you only go on social media when you're on the elliptical, like your personal account?
Yeah, exactly. So that's for my personal Instagram. And so
when did you implement that?
I don't know. I've just been doing it forever. I used to read books on the elliptical, but now I'm like, it's the good time to catch up. And I try to do the same for the business ones. I have to go on somewhat during the day, but like in terms of just like getting up to speed for the day, I multitask and I get it done first thing in the morning when on the elliptical. And then I have every night I do an 8-minute plank. And that's when I like at the end of the day, check my DMs again. So by the way, life hack, if you want to get better at doing long planks, just like make it the time that you're on social.
Just go back over how long you're holding that plank for.
8 minutes now.
8 minutes,
Yeah.
but your record is?
I've done 12 minutes. I used to always do 10, but then I hit 30 and I was like, wow, I suck, I'm old. So I like cut back to 8.
Okay. Okay, tell us about I've seen it on Steve's Instagram. I've seen it on Daniel's.
Okay.
Walk us through the push-up challenge, because I know as your friend that you really started this and then it kind of like went over into other people. And walk us through it.
Yeah. So if you didn't think my previous workout routines were insane enough, I wanted to do more push-ups. So I came up with this idea of doing a push-up challenge. And so it originally started actually at the restaurant. I challenged all my staff, and we had a prize at the end, like some cash prize or something. I was like,
I didn't realize it started at Wolftown.
yeah. So I was like, everybody, like, we'll put everybody's name on a Google spreadsheet every day, like on our system, put how many push-ups you did. And at the end of the day, whoever has the most, like after a month, it was like for Christmas or something, or on Christmas. I'm competitive as fuck. Like, there was no way I was losing, especially to these kids. So I just fucking destroyed them to the point where, like, halfway through, they all gave up. And I was like, guys, like,
Keep going.
and it sucked because I was like, I want some, like, I want the competition.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I won, so I guess I keep my money. So then I went to Daniel, and I was like, hey, Daniel, do you want to do this push-up challenge with me? And he's like, okay. So for that one, we're like, well, what's the prize? Because we're like, you can't just do this for nothing. There needs to be something. So I said, okay, if I win, I wanted to go check out the Amman in New York. So I was like, if I win, we go to the Amman in New York. What do you want if you win? He's like, if I win, I want you to play video games with me for an hour.
I remember that.
And I was like, okay. Anyway, I destroyed him.
Yeah, I was like, where were you the following month?
We went to the fucking Amman. It poured like fucking cats and dogs in New York. It was miserable, so that backfired. But and then then Daniel didn't want to do it anymore. So I was like, damn, like, I need someone to do this challenge with me, but no one would do it. So I started challenging myself. So it became this me versus me. So, like, I would do it 1 month, and I would try to beat the previous month. So the first month I did 3K. So the next month I had to do 3.5K. And then I got to the point where I was doing 5,000 push-ups a month. Now, all of a sudden, we're at Amangiri with Aoki. And Aoki likes to challenge Daniel to prop bets. And the first one they did was like no bread for the month. Every time you eat bread, you have to pay the other one $500.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I was like, guys, first of all, I hate that bet because I love bread. And it was really annoying to have to try to always figure out something else to make for Daniel.
Yeah.
So I was like, Steve, I don't like this bet. Why don't you, instead of like cutting the carbs, because I love carbs, why don't we just like make it do more workouts? And so he loved that idea. So I told Daniel, I was like, you should ask Steve if he wants to do the push-up challenge with us. And he's like, great idea. So he tells Steve. Steve loves it. And he's like, how many does it? I'm like, you have to do 5K a month. And he's like, okay. So that's like, so they figured out how much it was a day. And they figured out these whole mechanics. Like, if you miss a day, it's $200. But at the end, like, they had this whole system. But then they just did it themselves. And I was just like, guys, like, okay, fine, this was my idea. But the coolest part about it is all of a sudden we start seeing on Steve's Instagram stories that he's doing push-ups in the green room. He's doing push-ups on the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was so cool to actually be like, hey, like, we influence that. And it's actually a challenge that I eventually want to do, like, for Nutcase, like, just somehow like a challenge that we put out to all the fans or something. The funniest thing, though, actually, this summer when we saw Steve in Venice, and some of his crew was there, and they heard us talking to Steve about the push-ups or something, and they were like, this guy is just like, he's like, it was you guys. They were like, what? He's like, you're the ones that got him on this fucking like crazy push-up thing. So we were in Venice and we were doing push-ups together because we were like, hey, we haven't checked it off for the day yet.
What did Sasha say about it?
She just probably thought we were nuts. She was pregnant at the time too. She's like, I'm good, guys. Like, you guys have at it.
Tell us about your inner circle. Do you have a lot of close friends?
No, I've not many. One, I'm an introvert, so I don't need that many friends. You're definitely my closest female friend. That's actually a new thing for me. I've always been such a tomboy and haven't had that many female friends. And then
Would you say you find it hard to trust people?
trust. Yeah, trust is probably part of
Trust,
it. But I think it's just
relate.
like, yeah, relate.
Okay.
There's not that many people that are like as nuts and understanding of like
I get
the
you.
crazy life I live.
What is it like leading into this, actually? Perfect. What is it like being married to one of the co-founders of Shopify?
Good one. I mean, obviously it's amazing. Daniel's the best, but it's also challenging at times. Like I said, for someone who's super competitive like me, I always feel like I really have to do something amazing. The nice thing is he's like incredibly supportive of that. But I think the one thing that makes me the most angry is when I just get like labeled like, oh, just the rich guy's wife. And when people attribute where I am to like just thinking that like.
How do you deal with that when you get kind of shrugged off?
I mean, I usually, I can use it as fuel, so I could just be like, oh, like, and within no time that they kind of figure it out. But it's really important to me, one, to like be independently successful and do something. Like, there's no way I just want to sit back and be some trophy wife.
Has Daniel ever asked you to just kind of set your career aside or your ambitions and just take care of Jack?
No, and well, one, thank God. He would never ask that. Two, he knows me. He knows I would divorce him in a second.
I know all the
Yeah.
answers to these questions.
Yes.
I'm just asking for.
Yeah. So, I mean, so here's one thing I like to make very clear is that Daniel, I think what he fell for was the fact that I was super fucking ambitious and just getting after it. Not that like he would have known from day one, like I wasn't just going to be some housewife. And that's what he felt like. He was like, oh shit, like you're intense. kind of like that. But it's just super important to me, of course, to like make sure that people understand that like I got here before I met Daniel. Like I built my network and I built up to all of that before meeting him. And that's why he was interested. And then like, yes, of course, since then he supports everything I do and we help each other and we're actually like the most amazing team together because I'm the one who's like not shy to like get after stuff. And then he just like, and then, so I introduced him to all these amazing people and then like they all fall in love with him because everybody just has a crush on like all the guys, like instant bromance with Daniel. And I'm not mad about it.
So on that note, because you are super alpha female, when you're like going at it for business, when it's just you and Daniel in an intimate setting, do you soften and is it a completely different side of you that he gets that a lot of people in the Nutcase world may not see of you?
Interesting. Yeah. It falls back and forth, or it goes back and forth. There's sometimes where definitely like he takes the back seat where like I'm the one making the calls and calling the shots. On the flip side, I will say he is my one weakness. So he's the one person that like if he's disappointed in me, like I'm done. Like that wrecks me. So he's my one vulnerability. Whereas I think anybody else, I'm just like, fuck you, fuck off. Like I don't care. I don't care what you think of me. I care what he thinks of me.
You went through IVF. Tell us about that experience.
So yeah, this is something I'm never shy to talk about because it's getting better now, but for a long time it was super taboo or whatever to talk about. And it's like, it doesn't make you any less of a woman. It doesn't make you any less of whatever. In my case, it's really bizarre because I knew since I was a kid that like, I was like, I never want to be pregnant. Like, that is not something I want to do. And then I grew up and my doctors were like, yeah, you would not be, you're not built for this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And without getting into too much details, I'd taken an ultrasound and they were like, you hardly have any, I call them Aggies. That's not the technical term, but follicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool. And they're like, yeah, clock is ticking. You probably want to get these out. And I was like, okay, cool. So we went through IVF, and at this point, we're like, okay, I know we want to have one kid. But we really didn't know how to go about it. But then we learned about surrogacy and IVF and all this stuff. And like, honestly, like, fucking science. Insane. Like, I'm so blessed and grateful that like we live in a day and an age where this is possible. So the IVF process, well, this is the crazy part of this story, was they were only, so like, I guess like when they do a usual retrieval, they say like you should get like 20 plus eggs or something. And they're like, yeah, you only have like 10 tops. And they're not very good. And I was like, oh, great. And then, so they do the surgery. I wake up. They're like, yeah, we only got 4. I'm like, oh, great. And then the next day, they're like, yeah, only 3 survived. I was like, okay, cool. Getting low. And then when they fertilize them, they're like, yeah, only 2 of them worked. And I'm like, okay. And I'd read about like the attrition rate at every stage. I was kind of expecting this. They're like, okay, you're down to 2. And I was like, shit, I really want a boy. I was like, okay. They're like, do you want to find out the gender? But first, they also do a biopsy just to make sure that like they seem perfectly healthy. So they come back and they're like, yeah, only one of them looks like perfectly healthy. And they're like, do you want to know the gender? And I was like, I was dying. Like, I don't think I've ever like had such a like tense sweat in my eye. I'm like, yes, tell me. And then it took like 10 minutes, and then they wrote back the email in blue. They're like, it's a boy. And I was like, thank God. Because this whole time, this is what's crazy. This whole time, with the IVF, you're kind of just thinking they're like, they're going to do this test, and they're going to know which ones are boys or girls. So I was like, oh, this is so amazing that you can choose. And I know some people are going to be like, that's playing God. You shouldn't, whatever. My stance, like, why not? I knew I wanted a boy, and luckily there was one, but we had one shot, and it worked. So this is why I'm like, everything about our son to me is just like meant to be.
But on the flip side, I feel like for people who are really religious, they would look at it as like, that was your path God gave you.
Yeah.
And that was how it was supposed to unfold, not the reverse and like, oh, you're playing with, God's.
Well, the question is, if that, and I don't know the answer. I swear to God, I don't know the answer. If that one egg had been a girl, would I have gone with it, or would I have started the cycle over until I got a boy? And I honestly do not know, because my heart was so set on a boy.
And was Daniel as well set on a boy?
He was less set, but that was his preference as well.
Okay.
And like, we already had a name by that point. We're like, we already know this Aggie is Jack. Like,
little embryo. Okay, and you
it's
have...
a funny story.
Yeah.
Okay, so, like because we weren't going to use them right away, so we had them they freeze them.
Yeah.
So my mom would like...
This is actually a very funny story.
She would ask me like, how did the process go? And I was like, Jack's chilling.
Sitting in the freezer.
And she's like, what the hell?
Who the hell says that?
And then, this is so funny. This actually came up last night. We were having dinner with friends, and somehow this story came up. And I was like, they're like, so do you still have the other one? I'm like, yeah, they put them in the freezer too, like the one that could be kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And we got an email like a few months ago. They were like, yo, like this one's still in the freezer. Like, should we keep, you pay like a membership for it to stay in the freezer. They're like, do you want to keep it, or should we like get rid of it? And I was like, like, first of all, this one's a gamble. And we know, like, we're one and done. We're so happy with Jack. We don't want any more. So I was like, oh, well, like, we might as well just get rid of it. We don't, like, I'm like, purge. Let's clean up. And Daniel's like, no. Like, you can't kill it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, if you want to keep it, like, let's keep it in the freezer somewhere. I don't even know, in Vegas somewhere in a freezer. Jack's little brother. But so last night I had this idea that I was like, well, if you want to keep them, like, should we bring them to the house?
And put them in your freezer?
I was like, should we put them in our... And then our friends are just like... And Daniel's like, stop. Just stop. Like, my dark humor, I'm like, that would be so funny. Imagine if someone comes to our house, like, what's this jar in the freezer? I'm like...
Jack's brother.
It's our baby. Anyway, now you know why I named the company Nutcase.
Yeah, the humor just came out. Okay, you have the most beautiful relationship with your surrogate.
Yes.
So for those that don't know about that, tell us about what that kind of looked like and how it's kind of blossomed over the years.
So for those who don't know, there's like agencies that help, they screen the surrogates. Like, the screening is insane for them to, make sure they're healthy, mentally stable, all this stuff. So that's super reassuring. Like, they get psych evals, their husbands have to, like, vouch that they're on board and they're cool with it and all this stuff. So this agency screen all these people, and then they try to match you with someone who's like an ideal fit for just like, they ask you questions like, for instance, like, how much communication do you want? Like, what lifestyle is important to you? And all of this kind of stuff. So we'd answered this questionnaire, and we knew that, like, when the baby's born, we would have to be in that city for about a month before we could get the passport for the baby and go home. So we're like, well, we kind of like Vegas, so ideally it would be someone in Vegas. But there's actually, not every state is apparently, like, surrogacy friendly. There's some states where it's like, it's kind of gray on, like, the surrogate could keep the baby. So the first thing they tell you is, like, you want to stick to within these states where it's black and fucking white. So we're like, okay, cool. Nevada's one of those. So we were kind of like, okay, we'd be cool with, like, Nevada, Arizona, Denver, like, but we kind of prefer to stay in that area. So she was like, okay, cool. But we said we're not ready. Like, we were just going through the IVF process. So we said, like, we're not ready yet, but just, like, keep your eyes out. And literally, as we were going through IVF, we're in Vegas for the process. And she sends us an email, and she's like, I know you said not yet, but I found, like, the perfect person for you, and she's in Vegas. And we're like, oh, no way. And we're like, well, let us think about it. Because we were thinking, we'll wait like a year or something. Let's just get this egg out and get this done and then think about it. And we literally, like, we thought about it for like an hour, and we were just like, what? Like, no, you know what? Like, we're ready. Or not even, actually, we're not ready. It's more just like, this is a sign. Mm-hmm. If she's great, like, there's never going to be a good time. Let's just fucking go for it. So we said, okay, yes, can we meet her? So we had lunch with her at North Italia.
Okay.
And she was just so lovely and so just genuine. And she was like, I love being pregnant. And she'd already given birth to, like, one surrogate baby. She told us all about that experience. She, like, loves being outdoors and all this kind of stuff. And we're just like, I just loved her immediately. And I was like, yes, just all the yes. Okay. So we're just like, we're doing this. But still,
and she's a mom. She's got her own kids too.
Two of her own boys that are, like, perfectly healthy. So, like, everything checks out. They also tell you, and this is actually kind of crazy, they warn you that you have to get on a call with them at the same time, with a lawyer, answer these questions that, like, they're going to be very uncomfortable questions, but you have to have the same answer. So it's things like, if the pregnancy is getting difficult and you have to terminate the baby to save the surrogate, what do you do? And you have to, like, agree on these things so that when these potentially just like impossible scenarios arise,
yeah.
it's not a discussion, it's in the contract. Or if somehow it's twins, so like twins or triplets, like that's higher risk for the mother.
Carrier, yeah.
If she's uncomfortable with that, will you terminate? Because like we said, we have one egg, you know? So like all these questions that are extremely uncomfortable, you just get it out of the way up front. So we did that, all aligned, everything's good. But I still at this point didn't, like I said, I'm an introvert, I don't make friends very easily. So I was just not expecting this to be someone that like we kept a relationship with. And I remember Daniel thinking like, it would probably be weird, right? Like if, she was still in our life, we kind of just thought that, but just so naturally and organically, we just developed this really unique and special bond with her where, so we kept in her life. So like the first week when we were in Vegas, actually the first month, she actually pumped for us so that Jack would have breast milk for the first month. And then whenever we'd be back visiting in Vegas, she would babysit him and want to see him. Actually, in the first month, she was like our night nanny. And we always keep in touch and we see each other very often. And then when we are now like, hey, we're moving back to Vegas. And our biggest issue leaving Ottawa was like, oh no, we're going to lose our nanny. We need a nanny in Vegas. So we actually brought that up with her one time, and she's like, oh my God, this would be like my dream job. She's like, and we're like, oh my God, there's no one we would trust more with him, because that's the biggest thing with nannies, like super hard to find one you can trust. So she's now actually going to be Jack's nanny, which is just like insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful story, honestly. And she helps you with Nutcase too.
Yes. In the meantime, she's been like, she just always down for anything. She's a little hustler. I like her.
Yeah.
Like she's feisty and fearless. And so now when I'm still like working remote and not able to be in Vegas, she's just been like, oh, I'm happy to help with anything. So it started off, I'm like, oh, can you just maybe like pick some up from the warehouse for some drops that I need to do places. And then we launched Whole Foods, and I was like, we should really be doing some demos. And I was like, hey, would you like to do some demos for Nutcase? And she's like, oh my God, I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, and she did a great job.
She crushes them.
Yeah.
She's still doing them.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, and she's amazing. And she's just like, she loves the brand. Her boys love it. She's just like such a like super fan, and she's like, this is so cool, I get to work for like the dopest brand. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the best.
Yeah.
She's the best.
What a gem. So speaking of you becoming a mom, how do you balance work and mom life?
So I'll be very transparent here. We have a ton of help, and we have the best nanny, and just like, I have so much respect. One, for stay-at-home moms. I couldn't do it. I would lose my mind for sure. And two, for single moms, a lot like you. I know your husband, ex-husband, helps out, but you do the big share of it. And like, I'm so fortunate that I have a husband who is such an equal partner. Like it's straight 50-50 from day one. And if anything, I'll give him credit. Like he probably does, even more a little bit, because when I have to travel for Nutcase, he steps up and is
all the time.
Super dad.
Okay, well that ends all of my questions. Guys, I hope you enjoyed getting a little bit more deep and personal with Jo, and we will resume shortly. Thank you.
Actually, if you want to put questions in the comments, we could do another one of these and answer whatever questions you guys have.
Yes, totally. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.